These days I work as a full-time content creator. I have a successful business. I'm relatively new to YouTube, having just started on YouTube last year, but I'm not new to content creation, having supported myself as a content creator for over 7 years now. People make a lot of assumptions about content creators, influencers, that it's like this thing for bougie rich people, but I did not come from money. I grew up in the Maine woods. My father was a construction worker and my mother was a housewife. I didn't graduate college until I was in my 30s because I couldn't afford it. And I worked a variety of different jobs when I was young. Sometimes it was literally whatever I could get because jobs are hard to come by in rural Maine. I worked a lot in retail and food service. I even cleaned hotel rooms as a maid. And believe it or not, I worked as a telemarketer for a little while. Yes, really. Yeah, I was one of those annoying people on the phone calling to sell you something. Predictably, it was one of the most stressful jobs I ever had, rivaled only by cleaning hotel rooms and then later by a gig as a corporate manager at a toxic workplace. When I worked as a telemarketer, people were always annoyed that I was calling them. So of course they were cruel, and I'm sensitive and it was stressful and I felt bad that I was bothering them even though I need to do so in order to pay my rent. And that's a big part of why I eventually quit. It just caused me too much stress. But I did it for a while, and that's because I made a lot of money doing it. I was an excellent salesperson. This might also surprise you because I'm easygoing and laid back. I'm not necessarily most people's traditional picture of a salesperson, but I was the top performer on my sales team. I had the highest sales per hour in the entire call center. And I did this by completely ignoring the advice they gave us in training. What was that advice? It was all about the hard sell. They wanted you to overcome a customer's objections for as long as possible. So if someone said, well, I don't want to get another credit card, they trained us to have a bunch of slippery excuses that sounded good to throw the customer off guard and make them doubt whether they were really opposed to the transaction. And when I emerged from training when I was new, I tried actually doing what I'd been trained to do. But I noticed quickly that the customers that were objecting, they didn't convert to a sale very often, even if you really followed the script. Every now and then you could get one after a long time, but instead I was wasting two people's time, spending a long time overcoming objections. I was wasting their time and I was wasting my time too, my sales time. I found I could figure out quickly whether the customer was actually interested, and I frankly didn't bother trying to change their mind unless they were at least a little bit interested in the credit card. There had to be kind of an opening, and I got really good at hearing it, whether they were sort of interested and trying to convince themselves that they didn't want it, you know, that kind of internal thing. And so doing this, I'd efficiently move through my calls. My sales closing rate was a little above average. It wasn't anything to write home about. However, my sales per hour was sky high, and my commission was huge because of that. Because I wasn't wasting time on people who weren't interested. And even though I was really burning through the leads and arguably wasting a few leads along the way, my manager really didn't care because I was getting results. And he knew and was clear about the fact that the customers I was getting to sign were probably the right ones. They were people who wanted the cards, were going to use the cards, be good customers for the bank, versus people that would get pushed into it and either not using the card, cutting it up, canceling it later, and making a lot of hassle for our customer service team later. That's important in business, the process of customer qualification. You don't want every customer. You want the right ones. Now, you want as many of the right ones as you can possibly get. That gives you a thriving business. But the wrong customers can really mess up your business. It can make it inefficient. It can hurt your reputation when they're unhappy and they do bad reviews or tell their friends. And they can even cost you money if you're attracting the wrong kind of clients. And my manager readily agreed with me that the customers I was passing by didn't seem like quality ones, because people who are tricked or coerced are typically not the best customers. Anyway, there's a big lesson here when it comes to content creation, and particularly with regard to YouTube. It's a numbers game. Make episodes, see how they do. Keep going, keep going. Kind of like I was busy doing the calls. Just keep calling, keep making episodes. And just like I didn't waste time trying to convince dead set customers that they wanted something they didn't want, don't waste your time stressing out if every episode you make doesn't convert to a hit. You don't need that. Just keep going, making episodes and finding something that gives you that traction. And even though YouTube is kind of a numbers game, don't think about it like a traditional lottery, because it's better than a traditional lottery. Luck is a factor, yes, but with YouTube, the luck compounds upon itself. Your audience builds, and then it builds upon itself. And as you reach a bigger base and audience, you get more chances. It all stacks the odds in your favor. So it's better. It's a lottery that gets easier to win as you go along. So if it takes you a little bit to get your first break, to get your first couple breaks, to get your first 10 breaks, know that those breaks will stack up and get you where you want to be. Anyway, it's been great talking to you as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.